The episode opens up showing the condition of 9 months after the nuclear blast, creating a nuclear winter that allows vampires to walk during the day. We learn that Ephraim leaves a hard life alone in Philadelphia. As he goes out of gas and steps outside his door, he finds a homeless man sleeping on his doorstep. While he strolls around the streets, it is revealed that humans are forced in association with the vampires. They have to regularly donate blood to the Freedom Center, now called the Partnership, in exchange for food and medical aid. The humans are compelled to wear arm badges and scanned as they line up to get supplies from the Freedom Center. Instead of going to the Freedom Center, Ephraim goes to a warehouse and meets his new acquaintance, Neil, who provides gas and jobs to him that gets him food and drinks. Neil assigns Ephraim a new job, where he goes to a house to see a patient and diagnose her with scurvy, giving her some medicines. In return, he gets some booze for himself. Elsewhere, Zach lives a fully facilitated life at the Empire State Building with Eichhorst and other vampires. While he plays with his pet feeler, Eichhorst arrives and hands him a rifle, saying the master is taking him to an outing. Before they leave, the master, who has now settled nicely into Palmer's body, drops his white blood in Zach's mouth. They go to a Central Park zoo, where Zach shoots a tiger in his defense. Observing his activity from above, the master claims that Zach has dark potential to Eichhorst, who doesn't seem to agree with it. Meanwhile, Zach is surprised to see Kelly, who explains how proud she is of her son and asks him to listen to the master, claiming he knows what's best for Zach. As the mother-son hug, we see it's actually the master in Kelly's form talking to Zach. In the following scene, we see Vasily and his new lady love, Charlotte, stop their bike in front of a few gunmen in North Dakota. As he says they are not here to fight but to trade, Vasily and Charlotte are taken to another group of men, who are sexists and racists, as they ask if Vasily is here to trade his woman and mock him for his Russian accent. The couple say they are looking for locals with information on government installations, the missile base. Instead of helping, one of the men threatens to kill Vasily and take Charlotte away, pointing a knife at Vasily's throat. In the meantime, Quinlan arrives and kills the men, leaving a few of them alive. The one who threatened Vasily is terrified to see Quinlan and asks what he is, to which Quinlan replies is a demon from good books. Now the few men left are ready to help. Back to Philadelphia, Ephraim returns to Neil's warehouse, where a group of vampires hold Ephraim, Neil, and his men captive. As they are being taken in a van, Ephraim and Neil indulge in a fight with the vampire, until an unexpected explosion destroys the van, leaving Ephraim as the only survivor. When Ephraim tries to run from the scene, he comes across an injured man, who asks for help. As he takes the man to a corner and tries to make a tourniquet, the injured man's sister, Alex, points a gun at Ephraim's head. Turns out Alex and his brother were responsible for the van's explosion, as they wanted to kill the vampires, but they didn't realize there were humans inside. Soon Ephraim and Alex take Alex's brother to a hideout. Meanwhile, Vasily wakes up in his van and searches for Charlotte, walking into the woods, where he finds Satrakian reading the Lumen. Disappointed, Satrakian tells Vasily that humankind is about to go extinct, and he and Quinlan are the world's last hope. When Vasily tries to explain, he will soon find the missile to kill the master, Satrakian starts to burn the Lumen, saying the end is near. Vasily turns around to see Charlotte after hearing her voice, but as he turns back to Satrakian, the latter is already a vampire lashing out his tentacle. Luckily, it was only a dream and Vasily wakes up. Comforted by Charlotte, he expresses his feeling of failure towards his fellow New Yorkers, who are depending on him. The next morning, while Vasily and Charlotte are picking corn in the field, Charlotte is held captive at a gunpoint, and Vasily is knocked out. Elsewhere, Eichhorst meets the master, who wants an update on Zach after his first kill. However, Eichhorst, who is not fond of the master's attraction towards the kid, explains that Zach has no interest in their work nor has aptitude for it, and calls him unworthy. This enraged the master and he yells at Eichhorst for questioning his judgment, before he explains that as long as he has Zach, Ephraim will not allow Satrakian to Quinlan to kill him. Later, as a reward for Zach killing a tiger, the master assigns a young cleaning girl to Zach's room. She is terrified with Zach's pet feeler snarling at her, but Zach stops it. He seems quite happy to see a human after a long time and presumably thinks of being friends with her. Back at Dakota, Charlotte is kidnapped by a group of women, while Vasily is chained up in a barn along with another man named Roman, who worked in a government missile silo. Vasily assures he will help Roman to escape if he gives him directions to missile silo. When Roman asks why he needs the missile, Vasily answers for a thermonuclear warhead. Meanwhile, Ephraim sews Alex's brother's wound. As Ephraim tries to leave, Alex points a gun at him and asks him to stay, so Ephraim agrees to stay back for 24 hours to care for her brother in exchange for food and supplies so that he can set off on his own. Again back to Dakota, Vasily acts dead in order to escape. As one of the kidnapper women approaches near him, he grabs her. Meanwhile, Charlotte strikes another woman and takes the gun. Just then, Quinlan also arrives, who takes Vasily, Charlotte, and Roman with him to find the missile. In the following scene, we are introduced to Raoul, who works for the partnership organization and also donates his blood. Later that night when he goes back to his apartment, he is attacked by someone. Turns out it's Gus, who is Raoul's cousin. Raoul, who thought Gus was dead, is surprised to see him. It surprises him even more when Gus asks him to help him get inside the partnership building for food supplies. Although Raoul is reluctant, Gus assures to take care of him. Next we see Dutch, who has changed her name to Miranda, doing a pregnancy test, as the doctor tells she's not pregnant, but is fertile enough to try next month. She is held captive in a breeding facility run by the partnership, where women are forced to be pregnant. The babies are meant to be the vampires' meals in the days to come. The partnership is now run by Sanjay Desai since Palmer is the master's vessel. In a flashback of 3 months earlier, Satrakian and Dutch visit Gus, who now works with Alonso. Satrakian pleads with Gus to join them in their fight, but he refuses, saying he has lost enough already, and his fighting days are over. Thus Dutch and Satrakian head back to Satrakian's place, which is on fire. The building is raided by vampires, who are dragging people inside a van. Since the lumen is inside Satrakian's apartment, he insists Dutch to retrieve it. Soon Dutch makes her way inside and grabs the book, after killing some vampires on her way. As she heads out, a vampire chases her to the roof, where she hides the lumen safely, not wanting it to fall into any vampire's hand. Although she kills the vampire chasing her, she is soon caught by the others and pushed inside the van. Unfortunately, she sees Satrakian inside, who has also been captured. Later they are taken to a place where people are tortured. The scene reminds Satrakian of his days at the concentration camps. He goes to help a family, who are being separated by the vampires, but he is knocked over. Just then, Dutch attempts to help Satrakian. However, she is taken away from Satrakian by the vampires after being sniffed by a feeler. In the present, Dutch is inside the breeding facility talking to her pregnant friend, Rosalinda. Turns out Dutch is planning to escape the facility the next day with the partnership's delivery man. Later that night, Gus, Alonso and his associates arrive outside the partnership, where they meet Raoul. Before entering inside the building, Gus manages to kill a vampire watchdog on the roof. Inside the building, they find plenty of food and load them to take away. Suddenly, a security guard, Eddie, witnesses the robbery, who insists on complaining about it to the company. Although Gus and Raoul try to convince Eddie calmly, Alonso shoots at him, causing the alarms to turn on. Eddie manages to escape, so the group abandon their robbery and run away from the building. Since Eddie has seen Raoul, he is a wanted man now and is jobless. Gus consoles terrified Raoul and reassures to protect him from any trouble. But Alonso, who is disappointed with their failed attempt, allows Raoul to stay with them only for one night. This heats up an argument between Alonso and Gus. As Gus explains he will not leave Raoul alone, he takes all the blame on himself and threatens Alonso. Back inside the breeding facility, Dutch talks to the delivery man named Jeremy. Although he had promised to help her escape, he now changes his decision due to fear of being caught. Betrayed Dutch threatens him to make a story about them sleeping together and complain about it to Sanjay. Meanwhile, another pregnant woman walks in and starts yelling about what the vampires do to infertile women. The nurses try to calm her down but fail. Eventually, Dutch succeeds, drawing the attention of Sanjay. Afterwards, Sanjay calls Dutch in his office and asks her to work for him as his special liaison, since he finds her an intelligent and skillful woman. He wants her to help him. She mocks him for whatever he is doing. That's when he reveals this was not his first preference, but since the world has changed, he believes accepting the new reality and aligning with the vampires is the right choice. Hearing him, Dutch refuses his job offer as she explains she's not as civic-minded as him. Meanwhile, Ephraim is about to head off from the hideouts, after picking the food and supplies as promised by Alex. Just then, Alex's associate arrives and informs them that one of their men has been drained by vampires. Ephraim immediately realizes that the vampires will take over his memories and find the rest of his crew. Therefore, Ephraim decides to help Alex and her crew to find a safe hideout. Soon the vampires arrive and Ephraim sets off a bomb, causing a big explosion that kills them. In the following scene, Dutch is prepared to escape until she finds Rosalinda crying in the bathroom. Turns out she got a miscarriage and is worried about the consequences. So Dutch decides to send Rosalinda with Jeremy this time and asks him to come back for her next week. Jeremy puts Rosalinda in a container, but the latter panics and jumps off. This makes Jeremy frustrated and knocks over some supplies, getting the attention of a guard outside. Just then, a nurse arrives and orders the guard to take Jeremy away. Then she takes the ladies to Sanjay, saying he wants to talk to them. At the end, Ephraim takes Alex and her group to an abandoned school and leaves. Alex asks him to stay with them, but he refuses, saying he doesn't want to get involved in small fights. Furthermore, he explains the partnership buildings have blood running in their pipes. If they could find a way to poison it, they could kill thousands of vampires without them realizing what killed them. Hearing the plan, Alex agrees to join him. Subscribe and hit that like button to help our channel grow. Turn the notifications on so you won't miss any of our new videos. Thanks for watching.